Hello everyone and welcome to Daria Draws. Today yet again we are diving into my past, but this time it isn't 10 years, it is a little bit less, basically 2017, 2018. And I'm gonna give you some context about the works that I'm going to remake. And yes, it's going to be a mini series of 3 videos because there are 3 self-portraits that are kind of connected between each other. So I was graduating that year from my Bulgarian academy, where I've studied for my bachelor's degree, and the summer before the last year I went to Italy to study in the Florence Academy of Art. And of course, and the academy and the city itself has inspired me so much that I decided to dedicate my last year and my diploma to the Italian technique and exploring it even further. Now, at the time, I thought that these works were so incredible and so great, and just recently I discovered that they're really not, as I was cleaning out my workshop. So I decided to give them a second life and maybe hang them somewhere here as a memory of both my Bulgarian life and Italian as well. And yeah, I just think it's gonna be such a great reminder, and also a reminder of how far I've come even after graduating from my bachelor's degree, because yeah, it's been only like 5 years, but the amount of work I've put into myself is enormous, and I'm just so glad to have come so far along. And yeah, as always, if you would like to have this content a little more often, or just more of it, or would just like to encourage me, just like this video, subscribe to the channel. That's what keeps it growing and keeps me motivated to post more. And of course, before I begin the actual work, I would like to explain why I don't like the paintings and what I'm looking to achieve with this upgrade. So basically, I feel like the shadows are way too strong. They don't look natural whatsoever. They don't really follow the shape of the skull or the face. Also, the face overall looks like a mask. I can't really see any muscles, any, like crevices, definition, freckles, anything. Like, there's none of that. And the body looks very stiff, very unnatural. So I will try to fix those things. And of course, I can't follow the Italian technique 100% here because I already have some highlights, I already have some light. So I'm not going to take the painting back so much with, just covering the whole thing with brown. And that wouldn't help anyway because I already have texture on it as well. So I'm just going to work with what I have basically and make the best of it. Alright, so let's take a closer look at the painting. As you can see, it even has some damage on it because of the transportation, and it was just cut right off the frame. So yeah, I can't really stretch it again on a canvas, and I only have to frame it. Thankfully, I had some frames from IKEA and they match perfectly size-wise, so that would be nice. And also, yeah, the paint just looks very tired, and there are some bits that are coming off of it because I varnished it. Alright, so let's prepare the palette. I am going to use as classical colors as I can. Of course, we have some white, we have some Naples yellow, we have some ochre, sienna, a little bit of like scarlet red, some carmine, which is a colder red, an umber, and some Mars black, so that we can have some cooler tones. And I'm beginning to mix the darker brown, and then we are going to go from the darkest to the lightest shade. Of course, the shades between them can be mixed as well as you're working. But anyways, umber is kind of the staple of all of the mixes, and then I'm just going to add a little bit of sienna and then a little bit of ochre. In some places I will have some reds as well because my skin is warm, but it's on the yellowy side, so I don't want it to make too pink. Of course, that can vary from person to person. And yeah, so I'm just gradually getting lighter. As you can see, I'm adding white to only one of the mixes, which is the lightest. And that's it. You actually don't need white that much, especially with the talent technique where the colors tend to be a little more muted. And of course, I'm making a colder pink as well for certain areas. And I'm going to also pre-mix a little bit of a bluey tone that I can later add in the temples here, like under the mouth, in some areas of the neck as well, maybe somewhere where you can see the veins through the skin, because the skin is very delicate, so normally you would see some capillaries and stuff like that. Of course, the background will stay dark. I just pre-mixed 2 shades, one of which is Black Number and a little bit with that mixture but with white. And of course the last bit is the hair. My hair is kind of warm, kind of cool at the same time. And also I think at the time when I painted the portraits I was a little blonder. I used to dye my hair, so I am pre-mixing that specific color to make it true to the time. And yeah, also 2 shades for the hair. And this is our palette. I oiled out the painting and removed all of the excess oil from it. And with a little bit of scarlet red and umber, very diluted mix, I'm starting to redraw slightly the portrait, adding some volume to the neck because it looks a little broken at the moment, pushing back certain shapes because you can use that color mixture as your semi-transparent layer as well. And yeah, just redefining certain forms pretty much. I don't know what I was thinking when I did that nose. There isn't even a nostril. It's just a very flat shadow under the tip of the nose. So that was a very weird decision of me to make. Also, I'm adding some volume to the shoulders because I was never a petite girl. I always had some volume in my body, and I need to show that in the portrait as well. And of course, the strong shadows are gone. It just looks so much better already because these strong shadows are gone and my face is very soft. Like, I always had a very soft structure. So these very dark shadows are almost impossible on my face, especially during daytime or daylight. And you can already see how much the face is opening up. And of course, I'm adding a nostril to the nose and redefining the shape of it as well. My nose is not symmetrical, so it is different from different angles. But from that specific angle, I really have kind of like a button nose, like especially here at the tip. And of course, this self-portrait is a little bit easier to make because so much time has passed, and I'm painting myself from 2000 and whatever, 16, 17, 18. So it doesn't even feel like me anymore, and I can be a little bit more objective. Also, the chin was very weird. It was just like flat all the way through, which is very impossible. Like the actual chin always sticks out a little bit. I'm trying to, I can see that I'm trying to stick to the application of the Italian technique. So the point is that you don't just mush the colors together, you use different values. So like if you go from light to dark, it has to be light, medium, dark, and the darkest. You don't just drag the light into the dark or vice versa. Like you actually have to make it step by step. And also I can see the mistakes I've done in the eyes. They are way kind of too droopy. I don't have that. I've always had a pretty straight bottom line of the eyes. And also I want to unite the colors of the body and the face a little better, because at the moment it just looks like from two different people. And of course a little bit of a shadow under the lip that just kind of disappears into the cold shade. So you can see already how these parts of the face are getting pushed back, and then the cheeks and the nose and the forehead as well, and the chin are being pushed a little bit forward. So that creates a nice dynamic and good dimension. And also the shadow under the chin and on the neck is getting a little bit softer, which would be a little more true to nature. And of course the strongest shadow on the neck would be right under the face, and then it just would kind of dissolve and get a little... Yeah, as I said, the shadow needs to go a little bit softer as it goes away from the face. And I needed to fix also the clavicles, the shoulder, give it a little more definition. Of course, it is not going to be just a bright spot. It is all going to be very blended out. And also I decided to give myself a little more like chest area because the shirt was just kind of covering too much, and I wanted to have a little more room to breathe for the portrait because the background is pretty dark and I wanted that shirt to kind of disappear into the background so they can kind of blend together. But at the same time, I didn't want to make the portrait too dark and too dramatic, so I opened up a little bit the shirt. Plus it gives a little more space for that, you know, like more tanned chest to disappear into my actual skin tone, which is pretty pale. And I also really like adding some freckles, some texture onto this area as well because it's a lot redder than like other parts of my body, like even inside my arm, for example. Of course, another challenge was the ear. I made it look way too dramatic and I needed to fix that. I'll make it a little softer and just calm it down a little. Unnecessary contrast just, I feel, complicates things. If it's something you can actually see and in the room, if you set the lights correctly, if it all makes sense, then yeah. But if you're painting from nature or you're painting during daylight, you're not going to get these strong defined shadows. And it's better not to imagine them because that's what I've done and I learned from my mistakes. Yeah, of course I needed to really fix that area of the nose and between the lips. I repainted the background with a fresher coat of color, also got rid of any little scratch marks that were there, and decided to add some reflexes just to break that darkness up a little bit, especially like where the hair is or where the skin is, and that will just tie everything together. Now, as I said, I was a lot blonder when I painted myself, and I decided to stick with that. And yeah, I think the hair just looks so much more alive when you add light to it and some definition, some imperfections, because my hair tends to be like this curly, messy kind of situation. So I decided to make it look soft but messy at the same time. And I'm going to leave some of the finishing touches for the backstage and just to keep some magic alive and show you the end result after I've completely finished everything. So here are some of the aesthetic shots of the finished painting. I I'm so glad. I'm so pleased with the result. And stay tuned for the comparison of before and after. And I'll see you in the next video. Thank you so much for watching.